Hello, Internet, and welcome to the 4-week anniversary of Weekly Auto News. So glad you could be here for this momentous occasion. So, this week we've got news on the fallout at Fariday Futures. A production date has been set for the new Toyota Supra, and we'll take a look at the future lineup from Kia, and Volkswagen and Ford have decided that they want to get to know each other a little better. But first, as many of you know, a little thing called Sema 2018 wrapped up this week, and there were a lot of cool cars and products on display. While we don't have time on this news episode to cover the majority of the show, we will scratch the surface. So, now, in no particular order, we're going to cover the things that made the biggest impression on me. We'll start off in the Koenig booth with the best wide-body lamp builder on YouTube, showing off this BMW V10-powered wide-body Nissan 240Z Resto mod. Yeah. Then there's Ford's new dealer-installed option package for the Mustang, known as the Series 1 RTR. Interesting fact that the RTR stands for Ready to Rock. Kia grabbed people's attention as it unveiled the new 2019 Forte GT, though this makes me question whether canceling the coupe version of the car last year was the best idea. And speaking of Kia, we also got to check out a pretty attractive wide-body Stinger GT brought to you by the guys at West Coast Customs. And then there was the ECOPO Camaro, but more on that shortly. Toyota wanted you to know that it hasn't forgotten about small, gas-efficient cars and gave us a look at the 2019 Corolla hatchback. And then there was the world's fastest Dodge Demon. Chevrolet generated some excitement in the off-road community this week with the Silverado Trail Boss concept, and a brand that makes me think about the moon landing and bald eagles every time I hear their name. Hennessy was there with their new F-150 Raptor 6x6. And considering Ford's newfound dedication to trucks and the popularity of the full-size truck and SUV segments right now, Ford should just go ahead and build this thing. And another vehicle I could say the same thing about was this aggressive Tesla Model S Apex widebody. Brought to you by the guys at Unplugged Performance, and props to them for producing the best-looking Model S I've ever seen. Oh, and then there was Ford again with the Carbon Fiber Series Ford GT, and Honda wanted to remind everyone that their unibody truck, the Ridgeline, exists, and that it is rugged and versatile, so we got this, which is apparently a chopped-up Honda Ridgeline side-by-side with Civic Type R seats. Okay. Japanese exotic tuning company Liberty Walk showed off their wide-body, military-themed BMW i8, which I personally think is one of the coolest mods I've seen on a car this year. And then there was Kevin Costner's personal truck, a tricked-out Toyota Tundra Platinum Edition that made an appearance as well. No, I'm not high. And there was a very notable resto mod there as well. This is a 1968 Dodge Charger known as the Supercharger. But the coolest thing about this car isn't its looks, or the modern tech, or the name. It's the fact that tucked under the hood is a brand new Mopar V8 that creates over 1,000 horsepower and 950 pound-feet of torque. This new power plant is known as the Elephant and will feature an all-aluminum block and 7 liters of displacement and will go on sale in the first quarter of 2019. So if you've been torn about maybe looking into putting a down payment on a small vacation home, or putting some money up for the kids' college fund, or trying to cram 1,000 horsepower into that Dodge Murata you've got sitting around, well, the decision just got that much harder. Okay, so disclaimer. I personally have some mixed feelings about electric vehicles, and I'm aware of the benefits, but it's still somewhat unproven compared to conventional engines, and they're higher priced, and let's just say there's pros and cons. But, speaking of new engines unveiled at Sema, what I consider to be far and away the most interesting was the new EV setup found in the previously mentioned ECOPO Camaro. 2019 will see the 50th anniversary of the ECOPO Camaro, and to celebrate, the guys over at Hancock and Lane Racing developed this electrified ECOPO Camaro that uses 2 electric motors and 4 200-volt battery packs to produce over 700 horsepower and 600 pound-feet of torque. And while this is mostly a proof of concept, the coolest thing about this is that the electric motor's bell house and crankshaft flange are identical to the LS engine, meaning that it'll be plug and play with any Chevrolet Performance transmission. So if you're anxious to silently destroy your latest set of rear tires, you may not have to wait that long, as GM's head of performance parts referred to the possibility of an EV crate engine as something we're exploring. So do you get tired of the same old, predictable BMW styling? Do you find the aging BMW i8 to still look not only modern, but kind of futuristic? And maybe you'd like to see some of that design in future BMW models. Well, too bad. As in a recent interview with Auto Express, BMW's head of design stated that the future EV and hybrid models will lose their i look in favor of a more conventional BMW styling. And as more of their vehicles are being offered in hybrid or electric variants, BMW has decided to blur the line, so to speak, and not make the vehicle's form of power a factor in the name or the styling. So, rip the i8. And originally slating itself as a brand that would one day dethrone Tesla, Chinese EV manufacturer Fariday Futures is now having its future called into question, as this week the company lost one of its original founders, Nick Sampson, and its senior VP of Marketing and Development, Peter Sabagain. And this follows up recent news that employees have been on the receiving end of company-wide pay cuts and a slew of layoffs. And while Fariday Futures has yet to call it quits, things are looking doubtful, and I'll keep you updated on this as things develop. And truck enthusiasts should start getting excited, as it's been made clear through GM's Silverado and Sierra production schedules that GM will most likely replace the current K2 Silverado beginning in the 2020 production year, as plants across North America will begin winding down production of the current model, in which case I'd expect to start seeing some concepts show up in the middle of 2019. And apparently politics isn't the only thing that makes strange bedfellows, as recent developments may see a partnership between Ford and Volkswagen, as both brands have been involved in a costly struggle to reinvent themselves and save some much-needed cash in the process. Though nothing is yet to be confirmed, we do know that there is serious discussion going on between the two companies that could lead to the sharing of EV technology, future platforms, and cost-cutting between the two. And as the parent company Volkswagen Group has been scrambling to move away from diesel and gas and towards electric vehicles, it may seem like they completely forgot about their luxury brand Bentley, who has one of the biggest carbon footprints of any brand thanks to the classic staples of top-tier luxury like full-size vehicles with large, powerful engines. But they're not getting off that easy. Bentley, who was previously only willing to produce hybrid models, recently stated that it is considering launching its first fully electric vehicle and that it would hope to have production started before 2025 to help the brand meet more stringent CO2 emission regulations. And in Supra news this week, Toyota has announced that it will begin production of its much-anticipated 5th-generation Supra in January of next year, and that the first production Supra in the world will be auctioned off to charity. And in a bit of related news, Toyota has also stated that it will unveil the production version of the new Supra at the 2019 North American International Auto Show in Detroit. And remember last week when we talked about Borgward and the prospect of resurrecting defunct car companies? Well, apparently some Europeans also watched that video and are now ready to cash in on my idea. Enter Hispano Suiza, a Spanish luxury brand that was founded almost 120 years ago and created one of the world's first electric car prototypes way back in the year 1900. And though it went under in 1968, the founder's great-grandson apparently intends to bring the brand back to life as a high-end EV company. A recently released teaser for the company shows a silhouette of what appears to be a retro-styled coupe that simply says, "See you at Geneva." And this, of course, is in reference to Europe's upscale auto convention, the Geneva Motor Show, which kicks off in March of next year. And the Hyundai Motor Company has been making a lot of news this week. We'll start out with Kia, who amid stagnant 2018 profit margins is making considerable efforts to stay relevant and profitable in North America. Part of the plan involves bringing some recent concept cars along with some international models to sale here in the States to help the brand stay relevant with millennials. So far, we know the brand has plans to launch the new Nero and a new generation of the Soul, both of which will be available with EV variants. The new full-size 3-row SUV, the Telluride, will make an appearance as well, along with a new crossover known as the SP, which was originally designed for sale in India. And the brand may just be taking a stab at the American truck market, as it's looking increasingly likely that we'll be seeing the Hyundai Santa Cruz concept brought into production. And in addition to attempting to draw in new buyers, Kia has also announced that it will be building much of its new lineup here in North America in an attempt to avoid tariffs on cars built overseas and then imported. And in even more news from the Hyundai Motor Company, it announced this week that brands Kia and Hyundai will be getting solar-powered roofs integrated into future models. According to Hyundai, the new solar roofs will begin showing up on the brand's 2020 lineup and will be rolled out in 2 stages. Stage 1 will arrive first and will focus on EV models, allowing them to charge up to 60% of the car's battery using solar power. Stage 2 will arrive later and will focus on gasoline-powered cars and will be used to power things like the radio and the heated seats, and recharge the vehicle's battery and take some work away from the alternator. Hyundai has not yet stated what brands will be getting the solar treatment, and no set date has yet to be given for the rollout, but have said that the system is currently being tested. And in the final bit of Hyundai news, did you know that Hyundai has a robotics division? And that they recently produced a wearable exoskeleton? So, when I first heard about this, I immediately started conjuring up all kinds of possibilities, but like usual, it's never as cool as it sounds, and instead we get the Hyundai Chairless Exoskeleton, or HSEX for short. That's HCEX. A 3.5-pound wearable chair that can hold up to 330 pounds and is designed to make it easier for factory employees who have to stand in one place all day. And in recall news, if you're one of those guys who drives a 2016 or 2017 BMW M3 or BMW M4, you may want to head to a dealership, as apparently you may be in danger of your drive shaft falling out. And due to faulty valve springs, which could lead to some serious engine issues, Japanese automaker Subaru could potentially be involved in an absolutely massive recall that would span markets worldwide and cover the brand's entire North American lineup. And while we don't know yet what model years will be affected by the recall, it is known that the recall pertains to the Boxer engine, which Subaru uses in virtually all of their cars. Oh, and if you own a Toyota 86 or Scion FRS, you're in for it as well, as your car isn't so much a quality Toyota car as much as it is a rebadged Subaru. All right, and that wraps it up for this week's Weekly Auto News. Thank you for being here for our 4th anniversary. Hope you appreciated my opinions on Sema. If you didn't, let me know. All right, we'll see you next week. Thanks. I'm out.